I felt like I didn't belong in my own family. That's the truth, raw and ugly, sitting heavy in my chest for years. I'm Ethan, 28 years old, just a regular guy trying to make sense of a world that sometimes feels like it's got no room for me. I'm the kind of person who keeps his head down, works hard, and tries to do right by people even when they don't do right by me. But that day, at my sister's wedding, something in me broke. It wasn't just about a seat in the hallway or a missing place card. It was about finally seeing the truth I'd been dodging my whole life. Growing up, I was always the odd one out. My sister, Claire, was the golden child, 2 years older, always charming, always the center of attention. She had this way of lighting up a room, and my parents ate it up. Me? I was quieter, more reserved, the kid who'd rather fix a broken toy than demand a new one. My dad would say, "Ethan, you gotta speak up, make yourself known." But I never knew how to do that without feeling like I was begging for scraps of their approval. Claire got the spotlight. I got the shadows. That's just how it was. I thought things would get better as we got older. I moved out at 18, worked my way through community college, and landed a decent job as a mechanic. I'm good with my hands, always have been. Cars make sense to me. Nuts, bolts, systems that fit together if you know how to listen. People, though? They're messier. I tried to stay close to my family, calling Mom every week, showing up for holidays, even when it meant driving 3 hours after a long shift. But it was always the same. Claire's achievements, Claire's drama, Claire's life. I'd sit at the dinner table, nodding along while Mom gushed about Claire's new promotion or Dad bragged about her latest boyfriend. I'd mention fixing up a vintage Mustang, and they'd smile politely before changing the subject. When Claire got engaged, I was genuinely happy for her. She called me late one night, her voice bubbling over with excitement, telling me about Ryan, her fiancé, and the ring and the proposal on a beach at sunset. I listened, laughed with her, told her I couldn't wait to celebrate. I thought maybe this was it, a chance to be part of something big in our family, to feel like I mattered. She asked me to be an usher at the wedding, and I said yes without hesitation. I even saved up for months to buy them a gift, a custom-made photo frame with their initials carved into it, something I worked on in my garage late at night. It wasn't flashy, but it was from the heart. That's what I do. I put my heart into things, even if no one notices. The wedding was at this fancy venue, all chandeliers and white tablecloths, the kind of place that makes you feel like you're underdressed even in a suit. I showed up early, helped set up chairs, greeted guests, did my usher duties with a smile. I was proud to be there, proud of Claire. She looked beautiful in her dress, like something out of a movie. And Ryan seemed like a good guy, steady and kind. I remember thinking, maybe this is where things shift. Maybe this is where we start feeling like a real family again. But then I went to find my seat. The ceremony was over, the reception was starting, and I was starving, ready to sit down and enjoy the night. I walked into the main hall, scanning the tables for my name. Each one was decked out with flowers, candles, and little gold place cards. I checked one table, then another, then another. Nothing. My stomach started to knot up, but I told myself it was a mistake, just a mix-up. I found the seating chart near the entrance and ran my finger down the list. No Ethan. No me. I stood there, frozen, while guests brushed past me laughing and clinking glasses. That's when my mother-in-law, Claire's mother-in-law, Diane, walked over. She's this tall, polished woman with a smile that's all teeth and no warmth. She looked me up and down, her lips curling into something like a smirk. "Oh, Ethan," she said, her voice dripping with fake pity. "Your seat's in the hallway. Only close family gets a table." I blinked at her, my mouth dry. "The hallway?" I managed to say, thinking I must have misheard. She nodded, pointing toward a side door. "Out there. You'll see it." Then she turned away, already chatting with someone else, like I was an afterthought. I walked to the door, my legs feeling heavy, like I was wading through mud. Sure enough, there was a single folding chair in the hallway, right next to a service cart stacked with dirty plates. No table, no place setting, just a metal chair against a wall. I stood there, staring at it, my suit jacket suddenly feeling too tight, my tie choking me. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. I don't know how long I stood there trying to process it. 5 minutes? 10? Guests kept walking by, some giving me curious looks, others ignoring me completely. I felt like I was shrinking, like I was becoming invisible. And then I heard Claire's laugh. That high, musical giggle that always made people smile. She was coming down the hall arm in arm with Ryan, her dress trailing behind her. I thought maybe she'd see me, realize what happened, and fix it. She was my sister after all. But when she saw me, she didn't look surprised. She didn't look sorry. She just giggled again, covering her mouth like it was a private joke. "Oh, Ethan," she said, her voice light but sharp. "Guess you don't count." It was like someone punched me in the chest. I couldn't breathe for a second. Couldn't think. Ryan looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight, but he didn't say anything. Claire just stood there, her eyes sparkling with something cruel, like she was enjoying this. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but no words came. Instead, I turned, walked back to the gift table and picked up the photo frame I'd spent weeks making. My hands were shaking, but I held it tight against my chest. "I'm leaving," I said, my voice low but steady. I didn't look at her. I couldn't. Claire's face changed then. The giggle vanished, and her eyes went wide. "Wait," she called, taking a step toward me. "Ethan, come on, it's not a big deal." But I kept walking, out of the hallway, out of the venue, into the parking lot. The night air hit me like a slap, cold and sharp, but it felt good. It felt like waking up. I got in my truck, tossed the frame onto the passenger seat, and just sat there for a minute, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I wasn't crying. Not yet. But my throat burned, and my chest felt like it was caving in. I drove home that night. 3 hours in silence. No radio. No nothing. Just me and my thoughts, replaying every moment of my life where I'd let myself believe I was part of something. Every Christmas I'd shown up with gifts, every phone call I'd made to check in, every time I'd swallowed my hurt to keep the peace. I thought about the times Claire had called me her little shadow, like it was cute, like I was just tagging along in her life. I thought about my parents, who'd probably known about the seating arrangement and didn't say a word. And I thought about that chair in the hallway, a perfect symbol of where I'd always stood in my family, on the outside, looking in. When I got home, I didn't sleep. I sat in my garage, the frame still wrapped in its gift paper, staring at the tools on my workbench. I wanted to smash something, to scream, to do anything to make the pain stop. But instead, I just sat there, letting it sink in. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn a seat at their table, and they'd never even saved one for me. The next morning, my phone was blowing up. Texts from Claire, voicemails from Mom, even a message from Ryan. Claire's texts started out defensive. "You're overreacting, Ethan, it was just a seating thing," then turned desperate, begging me to call her back. Mom's voicemail was all tears, saying she didn't know about the hallway chair, that it was a misunderstanding, that I was breaking her heart by walking out. Ryan's message was short, just, "Hey man, I'm sorry." I didn't know. "Can we talk?" I didn't respond to any of them. Not that day, not the next. I went to work, fixed cars, came home, repeat. But the silence in my head was louder than ever. I kept thinking about what Claire said. "Guess you don't count." Those words were like a knife, cutting deeper every time I remembered them. I started wondering if she was right. Maybe I didn't count. Maybe I never had. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Claire, handwritten, which was unlike her. She's all about texts and emojis. I almost threw it out. but something made me open it. Her handwriting was messy, like she'd written it in a hurry. She said she was sorry, that she didn't mean it, that the seating was Diane's idea, not hers. She said she'd been caught up in the wedding chaos and didn't think about how it would feel for me. She said she missed me, that she needed her brother, that she didn't know why she'd said what she did. I read it 3 times, sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee gone cold. Part of me wanted to believe her, to call her and say it was okay, to go back to being the good, quiet brother who doesn't make waves. But another part of me, the part that was still standing in that hallway, hearing her giggle, couldn't let it go. I didn't call her. I didn't write back. I just folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Months went by. I kept my distance, not just from Claire, but from the whole family. Thanksgiving came and went. I spent it with a frozen pizza and a beer, watching football alone. Christmas, same thing. Mom left voicemails, Dad sent a text or two, but I didn't have it in me to play the part anymore. I wasn't angry, not exactly. I was just done. Done trying to fit into a space that wasn't meant for me. But life has a way of pulling you back in. One day I got a call from Ryan. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to answer. His voice was quiet, serious. "Ethan," he said, "Claire's not okay. She's been a mess since the wedding. She thinks you hate her. I know what happened was awful, but can you just talk to her, please?" I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. I told him I'd think about it. That night, I pulled out the letter again, read it one more time. I thought about the good moments with Claire, the times we'd laughed as kids, sneaking cookies from the jar, or when she'd helped me study for algebra in high school, because numbers always tripped me up. I thought about the frame, still sitting in my garage, unwrapped but untouched. And I thought about what I wanted my life to be. Did I want to keep carrying this hurt? Or did I want to try to build something new? I called Claire the next day. She picked up on the first ring, her voice shaky. "Ethan, is that you?" "Yeah," I said, my throat tight. "It's me." We talked for hours. She cried. I listened. She apologized again, said she'd been so wrapped up in being the perfect bride that she'd lost sight of what mattered. She said Diane had pushed the seating arrangement, but she didn't stop it because she didn't think it was a big deal. She admitted she was wrong, that she'd taken me for granted, that she'd always assumed I'd just be there no matter what. I told her how much her words had hurt, how they'd made me feel like I was nothing. It was hard saying it out loud, but it felt like letting poison out of a wound. We didn't fix everything that day. You can't undo years of hurt in one phone call. But we started. We met up a few weeks later, just the two of us, at a diner halfway between our places. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe I did count, not because she said it, but because I was starting to believe it myself. I gave her the frame that day. She teared up when she saw it, running her fingers over the carved initials. "You made this?" she asked, her voice breaking. I just nodded. She hugged me again, and this time, I hugged her back. I still keep my distance from the family sometimes. Mom and Dad are trying, but it's slow and there's a lot we don't say out loud. Diane, well, she's still Diane. But I don't let her smirks get to me anymore. I've learned something through all of this. Not about them, but about me. I spent so long trying to earn a place in their world, but the truth is, I don't need their table. I can build my own. And maybe, just maybe, there's room at it for the people who see me for who I am, not for who they think I should be. So, to anyone out there feeling like they're stuck in the hallway of someone else's life, listen to me. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to keep begging for a seat. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is pick up your gift, your heart, your worth, your truth, and walk away, not out of anger, but out of love for yourself, because you do count. You always have, and the moment you start believing that, the whole world shifts. I stood there in the diner, watching Claire clutch the frame to her chest, tears streaming down her face. It was like seeing her for the first time in years. Not the perfect sister, not the bride, just Claire. My big sister, who used to sneak me extra ice cream when Mom wasn't looking. I wanted to stay in that moment, to believe we could rebuild something real. But there was still this ache in me, a question I hadn't asked yet. I took a deep breath, my hands stuffed in my pockets, and said, "Why, Claire? Why'd you let it happen?" Her face crumpled, and she looked down at the table, her fingers tracing the edge of the frame. I don't know, Ethan," she whispered. "I was so caught up in everything, the dress, the guest list, making Diane happy. I didn't think about you, I didn't think." She paused, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, I should have fought for you." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Her words didn't erase the hurt, but they were a start. I realized then that healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about choosing to move forward, together. "We'll figure it out," I said finally, my voice soft but sure. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't just her shadow. I was her brother, and that was enough. I sat across from Claire in that diner booth, the hum of the jukebox in the background mixing with the clink of dishes. Her eyes were red, and she kept fidgeting with the frame like it was anchoring her to the moment. I could see she meant her apology, but there was still this knot in my gut, a tangle of years' worth of feeling invisible. I wanted to let it go, to just hug her and say everything was fine. But it wasn't that simple. Not yet. "Ethan," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know I messed up. Not just at the wedding, but before. All those times I let Mom and Dad make everything about me. I saw it and I didn't stop it. I told myself you were okay, that you didn't care about the attention." She swallowed hard, her eyes meeting mine. "But you did, didn't you?" I looked down at my coffee, the steam long gone. "Yeah," I admitted, my voice rough. "I cared. I just didn't know how to say it without sounding weak." It was the first time I'd said it out loud, and it felt like peeling back a scab, painful but necessary. I kept thinking if I worked harder, showed up more, maybe you'd all see me. But that hallway, that chair, it was like you were all saying I didn't matter. Claire's face twisted, and she reached across the table, grabbing my hand. Her fingers were cold, trembling. "You matter, Ethan. You always have. I was just too selfish to see it." She paused, her voice cracking. "I don't want to lose you. Not over this. Not over anything." I didn't pull my hand away, but I didn't squeeze back either. I just sat there, letting her words sink in. Part of me wanted to believe her, to rebuild that bridge between us. But another part, the part that still heard her giggle, still saw that empty hallway, needed time. "I don't want to lose you either," I said finally, "but I need to figure out how to be okay with myself first. I've spent too long trying to fit into your world, Claire. I need to build my own." She nodded, tears spilling over again, but she didn't argue. For the first time, it felt like she was really listening. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything settling between us. Then she smiled, small and shaky. "Can I help?" "With your world, I mean. I want to be part of it if you'll let me." I didn't have an answer right then, but I felt something shift inside me. A spark of hope, maybe. Not for the perfect family I'd always wanted, but for something real. Something we could build together, one step at a time. "Yeah," I said, my voice steady. "We'll see."